From that one, what's your biggest takeaway right now?
That we lost the game and we didn't play well enough to win.
When that bit falls short, this would you see in the bats in the last couple innings at least?
Not enough to win a baseball game that you'd like to win, for sure. So,
Grayson had 74 pitches at the fifth inning of the pickoff. What was the reason behind setting him back out there for the sixth?
well, because he was pitching good. Yeah, he's a Friday night arm. He's pitching good, and he was not at the pitch count that we wanted him to get to. And then we chose to go to the bullpen because we had fresh arms in the pen that we trusted, and they didn't pitch very well tonight.
What made you go with Garcia there, going lefty-righty to start instead of going Featherston righty-righty?
Because he's got a dominant arm, and he's really, really good, and he's been really good, and the guy, credit to him, he got a good swing off on him, I think Santi walked a guy and gave up a home run. He didn't have a good night, but he's an electric stuff guy that is going to have some awesome days.
It's clear you wanted to clean up some stuff from last week. Did you feel like you addressed any of that successfully tonight?
Yes and no. Yes and no. I mean, there were some positives. Obviously, every day you show up, there's some positives. But at the end of the day, the goal was to win the game, and we didn't.
You guys drew a lot of walks tonight. What do you think of their pitch selection, those competitive at-bats in general?
Thought we tried to do a little bit too much, especially there at the very end. We had some at-bats get away from us. We had some at-bats that were really poised, disciplined at-bats. Jacob slamming the double in the right field corner. Was a really poised, good, disciplined at-bat. There were some walks to be able to set tables and stuff. And, we had several at-bats that got away from us that, I think Mason had one early in the ball game that easily could have turned the tide in that game, as did a couple other guys.
Rhode Island starters forced a lot of hard ground outs. What was he doing today to kind of stop hits from falling?
Threw a lot of strikes. The kid had a good arm. He threw a lot of strikes. He was constantly ahead in the count. He didn't do anything secretive. He just threw the ball over the plate. And, it's hard to get hits in this game. And so even when you hit it hard, doesn't mean you're going to get a hit. And there was, several of those. There was some weak contact too, but the kid pitched good.
Collegiate debut for Drew in right field. How do you feel about that, and what kind of led to the decision to stick him out there in the outfield?
Well, we've got some injuries, part of it. Drew's a good player, and we're trying to find places to be able to put good players. I think he's a really good outfielder. His prep work that he's had for quite a while in the outfield now has been pretty outstanding, to be honest with you. And he's got an exceptional arm. I think he can play anywhere on the field.
What are the injuries you're dealing with?
What's that?
Who's injured currently?
I don't talk about injuries.
Rhode Island was 500 runners in scoring position. I think they were 10 of 14 in advancement opportunities. Just what did they do this game to be such tough at-bats the whole time?
Well, they have a very good, solid hitting plan where they're they don't try to do too much, right? And they're feisty. They're old. They stand in there and they just spoil a lot of pitches. It's impressive, the toughness and the grit that they show.
You went out there yourself for one of the mound meetings. What were you saying to the guys to kind of keep them in check?
When I went out there, I don't talk pitching. I usually talk team defense, and that was a team defense situation. We had a first and second situation with nobody out, and we just talked team defense and what we were going to do in that next sequence to be able to keep the runners at first and second and potentially get a lead out in that scenario. So just calming guys down and trying to get them ready to play team defense for what's coming next.
Did you like the energy from your team in the dugout, kind of as the deficit became smaller?
Yeah, and then one of the challenges is can you be energized when the game isn't, can you not be on the roller coaster, I guess, so to speak. Yeah.
Dom in the 2-hole today, 2 for 3, 3 walks. Just what you see out of him?
He's a physical force. His 2 for 3, they didn't go over the fence, but he's a physical force at the plate. Everybody in the country knows that, he can miss-hit a ball and it could be worth runs. So it's good to have Dom back. He was fighting some stuff early in the spring, coming out of the winter break, and it's good to have Dom back in the lineup.
In your eyes, how did the momentum change from the beginning innings to the end where you guys were fighting and getting more runs? How did the momentum change?
Part of it was Julian Hernandez. He came in, and I think Julian pitched really, really well. He had a rough outing a week ago. And he wasn't proud of the outing that he had. I was very proud of Julian. He came out there tonight. I thought he really did give us a lot of energy. He was pounding the strike zone. He was able to put 2 zeros on the board when he was out there. I think that was fantastic for, anytime that you go out there and you're on defense and you're walking off the field and the other team gets a 0, that's energizing that the score is kept where it was, and so I credit Julian for that.